Hello and welcome to another edition of Reminiscences, where today we have the pleasure to bring to you one of the oldest practicing politicians in Nigeria, Chief Edwin Clark, who was elected actually as councillor as far back as 1953. And he has since then been a commissioner in the Midwest, the government of Midwest, then under Brigadier General Ogumudia. And he has been a minister under General Gawan, a senator in the Second Republic, and of course for a long time the leader of the Ijo group, ethnic group, and the South House in general. So Chief, I love to welcome you to this program.
Thank you very much. And nice welcoming you to my house.
Thank you, sir. How was life as a young man in the creek of those days?
Thank you very much. Well, I don't know at what age you are talking about.
When you were small, when you began life?
Well, as far back as 1938, I still remember August 1938, I was quite grown up. My father, after the death of our grandmother, with whom we were staying, my mother's mother, called Konono, she was an Urobo. She was born in a place called Irunwane in Jeremy clan or kingdom, and today Ogele South local government. We were born there. I was born, in fact, on the 25th of May, 1927. My mother had a second child, and that was known as B.A. Blessing Akborode Clark. He was a Nigerian permanent representative at the United Nations. My good friend, Alhaji Maita Masule, took over from him. Then he was permanent secretary, Minister of External Affairs. Then my third brother was Professor J.P. Clark, John P. Clark. He was born in 1933, B 1930. I don't know how our parents did the family planning. We were at that time, came to life, our mother pregnant and had a child after 3 years. So I was born 27, B was born 30, JP was born 33. So we grew up with our grandmother, but when she died, when she died, we still remained with our uncle. His name was Uncle Goli. He was a fisherman. They're talking about creeks now. He was a fisherman. I was at the age of about 8, 10, I think, at that time. And early in the it would be away fishing throughout the night. Early in the morning, it would come, canoe with fish, everything. So he would say I should go to the waterside to bring the fish from the canoe. One day, The fish, one of them was alive. I didn't know that. So I carried the fish. As I was about to take it to the plant, into the basin, it fell into the water. And swam away. So I started crying. Then my uncle said when he didn't see me, then he came to the water side and asked me why I was crying. I said, the fish. One of the fish went away. He said, don't worry, I'll catch it tomorrow. So I came home. However, after some time, our father thought we should go to a formal school. So he sent us to his mother at a place called Fronto in the same Ugele, South local government, very near to Ugele. And we were there. So that in school, the whole school had only one teacher who was teaching from elementary 1 to standard 4. And one day he called us. He said, I find it difficult to pronounce your names. My first name, my name was, middle name, Kiabodo. My brother was Akbolude. The world is great. The other one was called Pepe, named after one of our district officers who used to come to our area. So my brother was named after him. He said Pepe is not difficult to pronounce, but he was going to give us Igbo names, Christian names. Then we had a brother, same father with us, but not the same mother. They called that one Irienyo Clark. So he called up 4 of us one day and said, from today onward, you are Edwin Clark. He called my immediate other brother, say, you are from today onward, you are Godfrey Clark. Then he called my brother, who is now 92, you are Blessing Clark. So the other one, youngest, so you have Johnson Clark. That's how we got this.
When did you have a chance to go to England and live all this local life?
Now, what happened? I became very political. I was becoming a leader of the people in my community as a headmaster, young. So what did I do? I said that I don't want to be headmaster again. I want to do a community work, community work. So there was a position they applied, they advertised, government, community development officer by the government. So I applied, and I was appointed. So I was posted to Guajuku. That's how I ended my teaching career. I was posted to Guajuku. My job was to go from community to community, educating the people how to improve themselves. Government will come to help you. If you want to build a market, start the market, then government will come in. If you want to build a town hall, start building, government will come in. That was the job, type of job. Build a school in your place, government will come. So we call it community development work. So I did that job. Then I was posted to Warri province, at that time Delta province, posted there. I was in charge of the whole province, educated so many people in community work. I remember in 1959 or 60, there was the American Peace Corps. Young Americans sent from America, from the United States of America. They came to do youth corps service. They go into community. So some were posted to Delta State, and they were handed over to me. There were about 20 of them. So I took them to a community which were the flood water used to build a foreshore wall. First of all, the people were opposed to it. Later they agreed. I said, we have to buy some cement before we go to government. They started, and the government came to our aid. That foreshore wall, which we built in 1969, 60, is still there today, preventing the flood water, the Niger water when the flood comes up, from entering the community. And the Americans were there in the village for 3 weeks, staying with the people, black and white Americans. So in 1960, I passed my GCE A-level. I was taking correspondence course. So I said, I'm going abroad to study law. Because I used to accompany my grandfather to court. He used to have land cases. I would go, I see people, lawyers, eminent lawyers from all over the country, coming to Warri High Court to argue cases. Their uniform, not now, when you see a lawyer, it doesn't look like a lawyer. So that encouraged me. So 1961, September, I left for UK. But then I've been a local politician. I was following up NCNC. So when I was in England, and we were quartered, accommodated in a place called Hans Crescent. Number 1 Hans Crescent, a nice bridge. Most sophisticated area of London.
Yeah.
So we stayed there, and who were with my class, who were with me that time, from the north, you may know them. Barrister Liberty from Maiduguri, son, Justice Kartugo of the Supreme Court. They all stay with me. Hassan Adamu, they were all with me in Hans Crescent.
We're killing Adamawa. Was it
They
killing
were
Adamawa?
Adamawa, yes. Then Abdullahi, the former Attorney General, who was my neighbor here.
That is Abdullahi Ibrahim.
Abdullahi
from
Ibrahim.
Kogi.
Yes, from Kogi. Then Ibrahim Tahir. He was not staying in Hans Crescent, but he used to come and visit us. So when I went in Hans Crescent, there was one thing I developed when I was in the teacher training college. I used to buy the Daily Times. I used to buy Pilot, Nigeria Defender. So with my daily allowance. So fellow students would come and read. I remember the governor of Western Nigeria, Sir John Rankin, visited our school. And we all gathered, he talked to us. And he said whether we have any question. So I stood up. And I said, I have a question. I said, Mr. Governor, sir, I don't know why a man like Azikwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, have no national honor, like OB, MB, But you give traditional rulers, sir, this, so. Why? Is it because they are politicians wanting independence from the British? So I sat down. Before the man wanted to answer, our principals told him not to answer. So we left. In the evening, we gathered at the dining table to eat in the hall. So when we was to eat, the prefect, one Esagbonyi, an ex-serviceman who went to teach, stood up, addressed the audience, and asked me to stand on top of one of the tables, dining tables. So I stood up there. He said I had the impunity, the audacity to ask questions. Burden the college. Said I've been punished, I have to be punished. That after food, for 3 days, all the plates used by every student will be watched by you for 3 days. And I did. But they had a teacher known as Mr. Osemenhai. He was our Greek teacher. Very stubborn man. He called me to his house. He said he had fresh palm wine to give to me. That was very courageous. What I did this afternoon. But I didn't tell him that I've been punished. Or I've been punished and I'm doing it. So I had this political interest.
In England, you continued the
In
activism.
England now, what I'm trying to tell you, we were students from Australia, students from Canada, from all over the Commonwealth. Were quartered there, representatives. And I used to buy newspapers again and argue with them. So at the end of the year, they voted and made me the president of the hall. So I represent them in all matters of the British Council body. And at the end of the year, they re-elected me a second time. So that's how I started my politics. I became secretary to Ziki's Vanguard in England. Became a member of secretary of Midwest Students Union, and so on. So I've been in politics for a very long time.
When you came back from England, I believe by then there is a coup?
No,
Okay.
When I came back in 1965, we were quartered in a Bochiere street where the law school was. We were there for 3 months.
Yeah.
My brothers went to University of Ibadan,
J.P. Clark.
J.P. Clark and B.A. Clark. They had friends who were also familiar with me. So they used to come and visit me. We would discuss them. What we didn't know, I didn't know, some of these boys were planning a coup. So when we finished the law school, I went to Warri to practice. Then in Warri again, I was elected secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association, Warri branch. We were next to Lagos. This was 1965 and 66. So that has been my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when the coup took place,
Good.
There was this conference called by Gawan
Yes.
to discuss the future of Nigeria.
Yes. Now,
People will be surprised that at that conference, the delegation from the Midwest, of which you are a part,
yes.
actually did not want a confederation for Nigeria.
Good.
You wanted Nigeria to remain united.
United and a federal territory. Now, at that conference, the government, Gawan's government, printed different colors of paper. If it's a blue color, they said, do you want a federation? Do we want a federation? If it's a yellow color, or whatever it is, do you want confederation? If it is white, do you want uniform government? If it is another color, do you want a breakup? We argued. And Chief Anthony Nauru was our leader. He had just been released from prison by Gawan at that time. So he was at home, so he became our leader. We argued. We saw a lot of these things. But we asked ourselves, if Midwest today, Nigeria breaks up, we have so many tribes. We are so. A united Nigeria was better than a confederation where everybody will almost become independent. But the West and the North almost wanted a breakup or a confederation. But we said no. But the East did not attend. So we couldn't arrive at the conclusion. Gawan said no decision except the Easterners were part. It was that juncture they were invited to Abuli. So that nothing happened again.
Has your view changed about the desirability of Nigeria to remain united? A lot has happened since 1966. And some people will say from your activism and what you say as if you don't see Nigeria in the same way as you saw it as a young man.
That's not true. Kabiru. I'm a believer in a united Nigeria. And I still believe in it today. I do not think. I'm writing my memoirs.
Good.
And I've always said, Nigeria should remain a federation. And we have not changed. I've not changed my mind. When the Constitution was drafted, both constitutions had returned from England. The 1966 Constitution and the 1963 Republican Constitution. 66 was the one they did in England. But the 63 Constitution, it was done by the leaders. Sadana Sokoto, Tafa Balewa, Chief Babafemi Awolowo, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Okpara, Osadebe, and so on. They sat down to draft a Nigerian constitution. And that constitution was recognized the federal system that will bring every tribe, every community together to live in one country where every citizen would be equal, would be able to aspire to whatever position he could aspire to, where we can help one another. There were many things, particularly, I remember, during the Macpherson Constitution, 1953, both Tifo Bafemi Awolowo and the Southern of Sokoto, because they were very wealthy, through granite and through cocoa, they were more independent. They wanted to be on their own. And Macpherson was accused for supporting these people through his constitution. Macpherson was not a federal system of government ban. Azikwe was a unitary form of government ban. But it was the conference. It was in 1953. Motion moved by Anthony Nauru for independence in 1956, when the Northerners walked out and they had fracas, booing and so on, countable. And the Northerners swore never to come back to Lagos. And it was at that junction the British government decided to call the London Conference and the Baden. That's how we had our independence. But when they went to London, Southern of Sokoto, as the head of the Northern delegation, was more for a sort of a confederation. Awolowo was for a federation. Azikwe was for a unitary. But when they agreed, they shook their hands. And I remember when Southern of Sokoto told that Dr. Nnamdi Azikwe that we have difference, we must recognize them, but we should live together. Now I remember when oil was discovered in Oloibiri in 1956, Tafawa Balewa sent a message of congratulations to the east of Dr. Nnamdi Azikwe. That shows that he too recognized a federal system of government. So up to today, what am I preaching? That's why myself and my friend, Ango Abdullahi, I've always accused him that you are not steady. Come out. You believe we cannot have a unitary form of government. Gawan in 1966, when he took over, first of all, the young soldiers from the North officers, headed by Murtala Mohammed and Danjuma, they wanted to go. But Gawan said no. And he told them, everybody at that time, that the country Nigeria called Nigeria was so vast, with so many tribes, so many divisions. Unitary form of government cannot do it. And unless we are united, there will be no one Nigeria.
Let me take you to the politics. You think that justice demands that power should shift to the South at this point?
Yes.
And specifically, it should go to the Igbo.
Yes.
Now, how do you see it coming into effect now that the parties have chosen different candidates?
Good. Very good. That's a very good question. I'm happy you asked about it. Let me say this. Even our founding fathers recognize the fact that all one big state, region, cannot take all the positions. So when Tafawa Balewa became Prime Minister, Dr. Nnamdi Azikwe became Governor General. And so, by their own way, these jobs. Let me say this. In 1966, or 65 or 66. When the British Army was withdrawing, they wanted a Nigerian to take over. So, there were two Nigerian officers, military officers. Either they were Major General or Brigadier General, I don't know their rank at that time. Ironsi and Mamalari.
Mimalari.
Now, Mamalari was more trained, went to Sandhurst, was more qualified than Ironsi. And therefore, the British people wanted to give it to him. Ribadu said, no. I'm the Minister of Defense, isn't it? Therefore, it will not be proper to make Mamalari General Officer commanding Nigerian Army. That's how Ironsi got it. They used their senses. But not today when Buhari's government, they want to grab everything to one side. They want to fulanize everything. It's unfair. So the question you ask, now, when Obasanjo took over, there was nothing like sharing, rotation also like that. But I remember, I was a prominent member of NPN. How offices were zoned. I was a member. I was there. The presidency was zoned to the north. The chairmanship of the party was zoned to the west. The secretaryship was zoned to the east. The deputy national chairman was zoned to the minorities of the south. I was present at the primary, pure primary, proper primary. Not like the one they are holding now. We must be ashamed of ourselves. Those people, the Chagari, they held a proper primary. After 4 years, before Chagari became the elected, we went to Kaduna for a convention where it was agreed that after Chagari had done his 8 years, the chairmanship should move, the presidency should move to the south. So it was a warning notice to Akinloyi from the west, to Kwame from the east, thinking that now that they perform, one of them will take over from Chagari at the end of his 8 years. But unfortunately, coup took place. And that could not happen. But in 1999, as you would know, Obasanjo and Olufalaye contested because they wanted to do equity, justice, and so on, having regard to what happened to MK Abiola at that time. Now, at the end, in 2003, Atiku Abubakar was very ambitious. He wanted to take over from Obasanjo and use the 16 governors headed by Boli and Co. to remove him, support him. I was in my house when Stella Obasanjo phoned me to appeal to Ibori and Alamesia which I did. Now, Obasanjo, no, Yar'Adua was not picked by the party. Obasanjo brought him to replace him from the north, in keeping with the rotation. Then, unfortunately, he died. Fantastic man. Man with humility, straightforward, man of integrity. But who are we to question the will of God? But in 2011, the Northerners said it was the turn of a Northerner because that was the time Yar'Adua was ruling. My very good friend and mentor, President Babangida, Bukola Saraki, General Gusau, and Atiku Abubakar said they were contesting the presidency. And I know that this man, Dokpesi was the campaign director of Babangida. But then they said, 4 of them, if they face Jonathan, they will lose. They should screen them down. So Adama Chiroma was appointed a small committee. We screened them down, then Atiku was the one favored. Then the question another moved to Atiku. You saw what happened at the primary. Now, Jonathan, therefore, after being elected, thought that he was still entitled to, by the Constitution, to 2 terms. That's why we said, well, he was no longer running Yar'Adua's time. But everybody felt, in the North, felt that that was the time of the North. Even, I can say that with authority, I have records. Professor Jega even caved in, compromised himself. And I have evidence to that effect.
But as Jonathan's advisor, couldn't you have told him not to run, to go against this?
Against what?
Against the zoning principle.
No, he has not done his time. The mere fact that he completed, even the American Constitution says that if you have done more than 2 years of the man who died, you cannot contest again. But this man did not do. He did only 1 point something years. And we thought that he was now starting his 8 years. Not that we were opposed to rotation. So you find a situation whereby PDP governors, like Yadudu and all, Yuguda and so on, contributed money to support Buhari. Recently, Dr. Babangida Liu, who was the chairman of the 19 Governors Forum, Northern Governors Forum, said that they all contributed money towards the prosecution of the election of Buhari. Now, we recognize that. So in 2019, not a single Southerner came up. About 12 Northerners were interviewed in this house for 3 weeks, starting with Atiku Abubakar, because we were supporting them and we wanted to screen them. Each of them spent 2 hours. Atiku, Saraki, Kwankwaso, Lamido, all of them. They came here to this house. So, we decided that Atiku came number 1, followed by Tambuwa, and followed by Saraki. And when they went for the primary, it happened like that in the voting. So what am I saying? If they did not take 2019 and they were still angry about no more zoning, I wouldn't mind. But if you accepted something, that this thing is now zoned to you, after you've lost it, if you like Buhari, who contested about 4 times, so that time they were zoning to your area, so you lost your chance. And that's why we said, whether the 2 parties must always agree.
What will you do now that the parties have chosen? Atiku or PDP and Bola Tinubu with his Muslim ticket, as you have.
Good. Recently, the running mate of Tinubu, that is Chetima, is it Chetima?
Yes.
Came to visit me here. That about 2 weeks ago. To explain to me that it was not an attempt to Islamize Nigeria. There was nothing wrong in Muslim. They said it was liberal. Tinubu had a wife who is a Christian, who is a pastor, he redeemed. His children, some of them are Christian. Then himself, when he was governor, he spent 1 billion naira in rebuilding churches and cathedrals owned by Christians. So I said, come. What we are talking about is inclusiveness. You cannot run a government that is not balanced. The Christians, if you take their census, it may even be difficult to know the population of the Muslim and the population of the Christians. You will now add middle belt. So, therefore you cannot ignore one of saying that you will have a Muslim. So we argued. I said, you spend 1 billion naira on rebuilding churches. And that money belonged to the people of Borno State. So if you have no regard for church, for the Christianity, why did you waste the money? He said, okay, I'm bringing Tinubu. So we'll continue the discussion.
Okay, so you are not yet reconciled?
No, we have not reconciled. I told him, if you have 2 candidates, this is what I told Omar Gege, who want to be governor of Delta State. I said, this is PDP. I've always been a PDP before I retired from active politics. But they still have my sympathy. Because of their jettisoning, declaring the rotation dead and buried, I will not vote for them. And we agreed that no governor, no former governor, no minister, and so on, should work for a northern presidential candidate. So I won't vote for them. I could have voted for APC. for supporting our cause. But this will be destroyed again by Muslim ticket.
So where do you stand now?
I don't know.
Okay. You come from a very distinguished family. You've mentioned your brothers, B.A. Clark, J.P. Clark, who we know better because he's a poet. Can you tell me a little bit about J.P. in particular?
Let me tell you this. I come from a very large family. My great-grandfather, Chief Bekderemo Ogein, was a merchant with the Niger Company in 19th century. He had his own ship with which he took produce, palm kernel, palm oil, through the creeks to Lagos, even up to Accra. And we buy European goods back to Delta to sell. His compound is standing today in my village. One day, Chadwick described it in 1930 that Shubekzelmo has a compound as large as that of the Oba of Benin. He described the block wall, wives' houses, and so on. The European guest house. So, my grandfather, no, I can tell you, we hate injustice. That's the one I want to tell you. We hate injustice in our family, oppression in our family, marginalization in my family. My great-grandfather, in 1923, went to meet Lord Lugard, representative in Lagos, to complain. And he took lawyer Egatin Chigul, leader of the bar in Lagos. That's my father. I was unborn. My grandfather, Fuludu, got a house in Warri as far back as 1940. My auntie built a house in Warri, block house, in 1925. So my family is not just me, JP, and so on. Now JP has always been a radical man. That's why even when he was young, they saw that in a little kid. That's why they gave him Pepe. Pepe means Pepe. The Dio was a very strong man, radical man. So he grew up to be very independent. He never used to agree. I tell you one thing. In 1942, he said it was not, we were sent to another school, two of us, because our school was not promoted to a senior school. So JP and the BA, my two brothers, were asked to leave alone. JP escaped from the station to our home. Our father put him down and caned him, lashed him, and said, you should go back. So he has always been an independent man. He has always been a man of his own. He has always been a radical. You know, he wrote a book, America the America. And they almost banned him from coming to America when he was in Princeton. So we are all together. It's our family trait. The only man who is not like us is my immediate brother, who is a blessing, who is an ambassador, or a diplomat.
Civil servant.
Civil servant to the core.
Tell us a little bit about your family life. At what point did you get married and what kind of...
Good. As I told you, my rascality went even into my family life. Yes, I have a number of children. I have 7 boys. And 5 girls, I think. And my first daughter, Rebecca Clark, she retired from NDDC as a director. But what is more significant is that during the war, or after the war, I went with my governor to visit Gawan to congratulate him that the war is over. He said, go back. It's a family war, family affair, no victor, no vanquish. Go and help them. I know your state was invaded. So we went home. I sent my daughter to Queen's School, Enugu, in 1970, to school with the girls there. They had no desk, they have no table. We have to provide, our government. So she finished in Queen's School, and I think it is more of Igbo girl, and so on, before she went abroad. My last daughter is 44.
Surprisingly, for many people, you also married at 86. There was a lot of chatter about that.
Oh yes, oh yes. Well, as I said, I've always been a man of the people.
Which people?
Whether men or women.
Okay.
They like me, I like them. I'm a man, I love people. Yes, it's true, I did. But that's an old... yes, I like beautiful things created by God. So when I saw a doctor, medical doctor, pretty, I fell into her. So we got married. I was not looking for children any longer. She too is not looking for children. And you may be surprised. I was telling her, who was I telling? I was telling Chitima. I said 7 northern editors came to interview me during Jonathan's time in the main parlor there. So as we sat down, they were asking me. I said, why should I? I'm part of the North. Say, how? I said, I live in my house with a Muslim. I said, call me Samaila Garuba Clark. So he came. I didn't mention his name at that time. They looked at him because he looked very much like me. So I said, these are your brothers. Speak outside to them. So they greeted. Then they said, They started talking outside. So I said, when I was commissioner for education, I used to visit...
In the Midwest?
In the Midwest.
Yes.
I used to visit Northeast when Baba Osman was the governor, military governor. So is it Baba? No. Musa Osman was the governor of Northeast. One Edmond Momiso, commissioner for education, introduced a lady to me who was his wife's friend, and I got married to her. This is the product of that.
So you have an Ismaila in your house?
Is my house, is an Araji, he goes to Mecca. Then I have another brother who grew up with me. He's also Alaji Isa. So, and I know when ACF was formed in 2002 or 2000, I was there with Dr. Blie, friend of the Northerners, Justice Gambari was then the interim chairman before he became the Emir of Ilorin. Then you have people like Sunday Woni, they were there. MD Yusuf, Dambata. And I see all those people. In fact, in 2002 or so, they asked me, 2003, to come and give a lecture on education. And I did. If you see the things given to me, they are still in my house today. Carpet, everything. So, and I remember that year, there was that year, before Governor of Sokoto State was the key speaker. So, I have been a northerner. I had, let me say this to you. Say this. I had a visit. No, I met with the Minister of Education, Adamu, and we were talking. And he said, "You have forgotten about students' exchange?" I said, "No." He said, "That was a good job you did as Commissioner of Education." I said, "How?" He said, "I'm one of the beneficiaries." I said, "What happened?" He said, "I was sent to Midwest to do my HSC in Edo College. And we used to see you." I said, "Ask him to leave where he was. Sit by me and my son." That's what I am. I'm a Nigerian. Believe in the quality of every citizen of this country. Believe in the sense that every Nigerian citizen should be given equal opportunity to achieve what he can achieve.
Thank you, Chief Clerk, for a very illuminating conversation. And viewers, thank you for joining us in this edition of Reminiscences with Elder Statesman Chief Clerk, who I hope, like me, you have learned a few things from. Until we meet in another edition of this program, goodbye.